Alright, so I just want to give you guys a quick update on where I'm at with the E30. As you can see, it is up in the air right now. And the motor is being held up by a jack for now. And as you can see, there's no subframe because of that guy right there, which you saw in my other video. If you watched my other video where I was doing the struts, I discovered the one motor mount was broken and the motor was actually resting on the steering rack. So yeah, so that's where I'm at now. I got the subframe out and everything. As you can imagine, it was a bit of a pain, but it came out. I didn't really film any of that just because it was such a pain and I didn't have anybody to help me film, and I knew it was going to take so long that trying to stop and get different angles filming it would be a real pain. If you want to know how to do this, there is another guy. I'll put his link in the description for the video. It's a 3-part video where he actually goes through all the steps to replacing the subframe, taking the old one out, putting the new one in, shows you how to do everything. So it's fairly straightforward, honestly. But yeah, as you can see, there's the old one, there's the new one. Obviously on this one, everything is on here. I actually got it from my buddy Dalton, who has an E30 that was built for like hill climbs. Yeah, me and him pulled the motor and pulled this guy out in like an hour. So I brought it home, cleaned it up, checked everything out, and I actually reinforced the welds right there to make myself feel better. Yeah, I don't know if it's actually going to make a difference, but you know, there's no cracks or damage or anything to this subframe. I thoroughly inspected it, every inch of it, before, you know, obviously doing all this work and putting it back in. So yeah, what I'm going to try and do is film as much of the process of this going back in as possible. Really the way I did it was I just used a jack to jack up the motor, then I unbolted the motor from the subframe, then I took a jack and put it under the subframe, and then I unbolted the subframe, and then I let the subframe down with the jack. Hardest part being this guy right here, this like spline that comes out and connects to the steering knuckle, was a real pain in the ass because it just didn't want to come off, even completely loose. Look at that, I just noticed that. Some sort of nut laying in the mess of, oh, you know what that is? I'm pretty sure when I was replacing the suspension, when I did the top mount, the top 3 bolts inside the engine bay, or the top 3 nuts in there, I lost one of them, and I had luckily I had one that fit perfectly, but yeah, that's where that went. It landed right in that mess of shit on the subframe. But anyway, yeah, so that steering knuckle was the hardest part to get off. Yeah, so that's my plan. I don't know if I'm going to get it all done today. I'm going to at least get started on it today, and I will try and film as much of it as I can. Broken piece right there. That's the piece that sheared off.
So people would feel bad for her? No, that I would leave. Oh, biggest.
Alright, so I got the one motor mount in, as you can see right there. Got it tightened up. I got these two bolts tightened up here and here. And then you got your rear two control arm bolts right there. They hold the control arm up, and then just your ball joints down here. As you can see, I sort of use this red jack right here on. Sorry. Use a red jack there on the subframe, and then the larger heavy-duty jack with a board on the motor. And normally, you know, I understand you'd normally not want to let the motor jacked up with just a jack, but the rear of the motor is bolted by the trans still, and if it were to fall, it would fall on the subframe. There was only a small amount of time while the subframe was out and the motor was held up by the jack. So if you do it right, you should be okay. Honestly, I trust this jack more than I would trying to balance it on two jack stands. So I just know someone always has a comment about using a jack to hold the motor up. Alright, I just want to give you guys a quick update of where I'm at now. All around front here. As you can see, there is no more jacks under there. The motor is free. The motor mounts are in. So here is the issue with the old subframe. There's the broken ear right there from the old subframe. Just sheared right off. It broke off right there, and then that caused it to the motor to fall down and rest right there on the steering rack, and then also the part that sheared off was still connected to the motor, so the motor was also laying on there, so it ripped the boot, and then you can see there where it damaged, a big gouge taken out of that.